in any money into that business. I'm going to quote J.R.D. Tata. J.R.D. Tata once said, I quote, every company has a special and continuing responsibility towards the people of the area in which it is located and in which its employees and their families live. The most important and the most significant contribution organized industry can make is by identifying itself with the life and problems of the people of the community to which it belongs and applying its resources, skills and talents to the extent it can reasonably spare to serve and help the people. You know, this is what J.R.D. Tata said many years ago. I think it was in 1962 or something. Now, we often tend to measure industrial corporations on the basis of profits, on the basis of market capitalization. In fact, I think 2 days back, day before yesterday's paper carried the top 100 richest Indians, and there was a long list of people. And I often wondered, you know, if you clap for becoming rich, then you are setting a wrong direction to the youngsters. You need to clap people for doing good to this country. It doesn't matter whether they are rich or not. Nobody is even asked in that list as to how the money was obtained, but I'm not going to go into that. The point that I'm trying to make is, you know, even Forbes magazine, for example, it will publish the list of the top 500 people in the country. It is often the behavior of any individual or industrial corporation, the behavior of institutions is always governed by what do you measure that institution. If you measure a student on the basis of the only marks he will get, he will only chase marks. He may not chase knowledge, because marks and knowledge are not always related, and we all know that, having been students. But if you expect a student, if you question a student, if you question a boy or a girl on an all-round capability or all-round development, then he will chase an all-round development. So people always tailor their behavior on the basis of what they are measured with. So I always believe that the industrial corporation needs to be measured differently. They need to be measured on the basis of their total contribution to the society, and then you will find that that ranking is different and the clapping becomes a little bit different, and it will set a proper behavior. So I want you to think on this subject, irrespective of whether you already have a job or you don't have a job, or even for the next job, I think you need to look at it. The third point I want to make is, I know that this is the age of fast food and instant coffee and 2-minute noodles and instant gratification and so on and so forth. So I will not be surprised, I am not at all surprised if many of you or all of you, as soon as you sort of finish this convocation, when you go and join the company, you want to become CEO, you know, in the next 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or something like that. So it will not surprise me. But please remember that life is not a 100-meter race. Life is a marathon race. And in a marathon race, you will be first sometime, you will be second sometime, you will be last sometime, but you may be the last, but you will still win the race. So you must remember that you need to develop the stamina of a marathon runner in order to be successful in a business life. You can't approach a business with a 100-meter race, and then anybody who is running thinking of a 100-meter race and actually running a marathon race, you will know what will happen. He will just fall dead at the end of 200 or 300 meters. So please remember that. And patience, persistence and determination are extremely important in life. It's not only the knowledge. I'm going to quote Mr. Calvin Coolidge, a former president of the United States, who once said this, and I quote, nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. There is nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with great talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone is omnipotent. You may think it is an exaggeration, and I know that this president would have used an exaggerated slant to make a point. But the important point that he is making is persistence and determination, and and fanatically pursuing something that you believe in right is something which is extremely important. There is one last thing that I want to say. We're all in India, and you are all very fortunate, unlike actually many people like me who passed out maybe 45 years ago, 47 years ago, when India was growing at a very slow pace. And we were all wondering as to where are going to be the opportunities and where are we going to be when we join a company. Are we going to go up anywhere at all, or are we going to get stuck up because India is not growing? India was growing at 3% per year, or less than 3% per year. You are all fortunate that you are all coming into the stream into India, in India, when the growth rate is good, even though it has shown a dip in the last couple of years. Overall, for the last 10, 15 years, in fact, ever since economic liberalization of 1991, India has been doing a reasonably good job. And with its demographic dividend and in the reform process underway, India should become a very major superpower in the next 30, 40, 50 years. In fact, there are studies and there are forecasts by many international agencies that by the year 2045 or 2050, India will be the third largest economic power in the world after the US and China. So India has got great opportunities and India has got great potential. But we must realize that the mere presence of opportunities and the mere presence of a potential is not a guarantee for success. We have to solve lots of things in order to make sure that we reach there. And there are many other many challenges. Corruption is one, infrastructure is one, so, medical care is one, fundamental education. So there are several challenges which ought to overcome. But among all the challenges, I reckon there is one challenge which is the most important if you want to reach economic prosperity. If you want to clock in about 10 to 12% sort of GDP growth every year, there is one condition that is required, which is really social equality. Today, India is socially not equal. I have graduated from IIT Madras many years ago. Just like you, I also did an Indian Institute of Management. I did it from XLR Jamshedpur. We are all lucky people. We may be thinking erroneously that we have all got great deal of merit, and that's why we are all here. And there are guys who are not here who don't have the merit, and therefore they could not come here. I can tell you, nothing can be a more mistaken belief than that. We must remember that merit is not an isolated entity. Merit is determined by social circumstances. Because of the fact that we were born to parents who cared for us, we were born to a reasonably well-to-do family who could afford to send us to schools and colleges. Because of the fact that we lived in a town and not in a remote village which cannot be reached by any means of transport, and that social circumstances actually determined our merit more than anything else. So please remember, there are hundreds and millions of people in this country who don't have this opportunity. And it is our responsibility. It is every executive's responsibility in industrial corporations, and it is every person's responsibility in any institutions, especially the leaders, to make sure that people are given equal opportunity. And only when people are given equal opportunity and only when social equity comes into this country, you will find economic equity will come and economic progress will take place. Otherwise, slowly, we will have our economic progress impeded by social inequality, and that social inequality has a way of showing up itself in many nasty ways. Much of it we are seeing in this country, in many parts of India, especially in the eastern region of India. So it is important for us to realize that and not sit on a pedestal saying that it is because of outstanding merit that I have become so and so, or I am the managing director of this company, or that or the vice chairman of some other company, and so on. So please remember that, and whatever you can do in terms of what I would call as affirmative action and what I would call as action in the affirmative, to make sure that we do processes, we do upskilling, we help in education, we help in employment generation opportunities, we help in making vendors out of the communities who have been deprived for so many years by us. If we do all that, this country, I think, has a great deal of hope and potential to grow. If we don't do that well, And if we don't do that well, we would also be responsible for that. And if we don't do that well, we will not have a great future in this country. But I'm sure, being very intelligent people, you will adopt those practices. And in fact, I know that Mr. Bhargav has similar thoughts in his mind on this subject. And I'm very happy to see that IIM Ranchi has some very good practices of sending some of you or all of you to the villages to have a look at what's happening there. How can we do some social work or understand what's happening in the villages before we take on some cushy job on some bank or some financial institutions or the other. So best of luck to all of you, and I congratulate all of you, and have a great future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your address. Now I request our Honorable Chairman, Shri R.C. Bhargav, to present memento to our Chief Guest, Shri B. Muthuraman. I request our PGP Chairperson, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Bala, to propose the vote of thanks.
Respected Chief Guest, Sri B. Muthuraman, Vice Chairman Tata Steel, Honorable Chairman, Board of Governors, Sri R.C. Bhargav, our Director, Professor M.J. Xavier, members of the Board of Governors, dear faculty colleagues, dear staff members of the Institute, proud parents and family members of the graduated students, distinguished guests, dear students, dear media persons, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor and proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks. On behalf of IIM Ranchi family, dignitaries, and the esteemed guests, I would like to express our sincere thanks to our chief guest, Sri B. Muthuraman, for being with us on this auspicious occasion and delivering the convocation address. I had listened to him earlier in a number of occasions in my Tata Steel days. However, today's address speaks about a different aspect of his personality. Sir, your words of wisdom would serve as guiding principle for all our graduated students throughout their professional lives. Thank you once again, sir. Now it's the time to express our deep sense of gratitude to all those who have contributed directly or indirectly to make this convocation successful. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to express our heartfelt thanks to Sri R.C. Bhargav, Chairman Board of Governors, for his constant guidance and support. His vast experience in the government, business, and education is reflected in the policy decisions that have brought IIM Ranchi to prominence. Sir, IIM Ranchi is proud and privileged to have you as the chairman. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to thank all the BOG members for their valuable contribution to IIM Ranchi. Our sincere thanks to the director, Professor M.J. Xavier, who is a visionary, who has brought IIM Ranchi to the limelight within a very short span of time. Thank you very much, sir, for being a constant source of motivation to all of us. I also take the opportunity to express our sincere thanks to our Vice President Administration, Colonel B.K. Nair, for his tireless efforts. Now to the parents and family members of the graduated students. The credit in the achievement of today's graduated students goes to their parents as well. Dear graduated students, your parents and the family members have sacrificed their personal lives for you. Please appreciate that and never forget it in your life. I must congratulate each one of the parents and the family members of the graduated students, those who are present here and also those who are not present with us in this event. We are thankful to all our guests for their kind presence with us. I also thank all the sponsors for their valuable supports in last 3 years of IIM Ranchi. I'd also like to express our gratitude to the respected members of the press and other media for their participation and coverage of this event. All my esteemed faculty colleagues, internal and visiting both, have extended their support in making the second convocation a successful event. Thank you all, my faculty colleagues. We must express our thanks to all staff members of the Institute for their efforts and hard work they have put in for this event. Now it is time to bid farewell on behalf of the Institute to our outgoing students of both the PGDM and PGXP batches.